Hello friends, Dr. Bob here. Today, I'm going to share something that might surprise you, some critical information about pill organizers that many pharmacists, including myself during my 35 years behind the counter, don't typically discuss with patients. This isn't because we're trying to hide anything, but rather because the healthcare system often rushes us through consultations without enough time to explain the nuances of medication management. After my experience with a dangerous medication mix-up 3 years ago, I've made it my mission to share these insights that could potentially save your life or the life of someone you love. When I was working as a clinical pharmacist at Massachusetts General Hospital, I noticed a troubling pattern. Patients would come in with medication complications, even though they were using pill organizers, those plastic containers with compartments for different days and times. The conventional wisdom has always been that these organizers reduce medication errors, and that's partially true. But there's a deeper story here that I've observed over 3 decades of practice, and it's something I think you deserve to know. Let me start with a story about my former neighbor, Helen. She was 73, lived alone, and managed 9 different medications for her heart condition, diabetes, and arthritis. Helen was meticulous about using her pill organizer. Every Sunday night, she would fill the compartments for the week ahead. For months, everything seemed fine. Then one day, her daughter found her disoriented and rushed her to the emergency room. The doctors discovered her blood sugar was dangerously low, and her potassium levels were concerning. What happened? Helen had accidentally placed her afternoon diabetes medication into her morning compartment for 3 consecutive days. This simple mistake nearly cost her life. This story highlights what I call the false sense of security that pill organizers can create. When we use these devices without understanding their limitations, we're potentially setting ourselves up for serious problems. Now, to be absolutely clear, I'm not saying pill organizers are bad. In fact, I use one myself. But there are secrets about how to use them correctly that can make all the difference between them being helpful tools or dangerous ones. The biggest misconception is that simply transferring your pills into an organizer automatically makes your medication routine safer. This isn't true, and here's why. The act of transferring medications from their original containers to a pill organizer is actually one of the most high-risk moments in medication management. It's where most errors occur. In the 35 years I spent as a pharmacist, I can't tell you how many times I heard about patients putting the wrong pill in the wrong compartment, miscounting doses, or confusing similar-looking medications during this transfer process. Now let's discuss what I believe is the most important secret about pill organizers. They're only as good as the system you use to fill them. When I was recovering from my own medication error, I developed what I now teach as the triple check method. This approach has helped hundreds of my patients, including my 92-year-old mother, who manages 8 different medications. Here's how the triple check works. First, you lay out all your medication bottles in a well-lit area. Next, you take one medication at a time, never multiple medications, and place the correct number of pills for each day into a temporary container or a clean surface. Before transferring these to your pill organizer, you check the label against your medication list. That's check number 1. Then, you count the pills to ensure you have the correct number. That's check number 2. Finally, you visually identify each pill using a pill identification guide or app. That's check number 3. Only then do you transfer that single medication into the appropriate compartments of your organizer. Another secret that isn't commonly shared is that not all pill organizers are created equal. The standard ones you find at the drugstore, with 7 compartments labeled with days of the week, are often inadequate for people taking multiple medications at different times of day. Janet, my wife who manages her arthritis medications, discovered this the hard way when she confused her morning and evening doses because her organizer didn't clearly distinguish between times of day. The most effective organizers have distinct compartments for each time of day, morning, noon, evening, and bedtime, with clear visual differences between them. Some use different colors, others use symbols for sun and moon to indicate day and night. For my patients with vision impairments, I recommend organizers with high contrast colors and raised tactile markings. These design features significantly reduce the risk of taking the wrong medication at the wrong time. Here's something else pharmacists rarely discuss: the importance of filling your pill organizer under consistent conditions. Consistency in location, lighting, and time of day creates a ritual that reduces errors. I fill my organizer every Sunday at 3 p.m. at my kitchen table, which has excellent natural light. I never vary from this routine. The ritual itself becomes a safeguard because your brain develops error-checking mechanisms around familiar processes. Now let me address the elephant in the room, the issue of medication stability in pill organizers. This is something that truly concerned me during my pharmacy career, but rarely had time to explain to patients. When you remove medications from their original containers, you potentially expose them to four enemies: light, air, moisture, and contamination from other medications. Some medications, particularly certain antibiotics, water pills, and thyroid medications, can lose potency when stored improperly. The pharmaceutical companies don't prominently advertise this because, frankly, they prefer you keep medications in their original containers. It's safer from their perspective and reduces their liability. But for those of us managing multiple medications, transferring to organizers is often necessary for practical reasons. The compromise I recommend is this: don't fill organizers for more than 1 week at a time, keep them in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight, and never store them in the bathroom, where shower steam can affect medication stability. Another crucial detail most people don't realize is that certain medications should never be placed in standard pill organizers at all. When I was teaching pharmacy students, I created what I called the moist list, medications organizers inherently shouldn't touch. These include nitroglycerin tablets for angina, which lose potency rapidly when removed from their special dark glass containers, dispersible tablets that easily crumble, hygroscopic medications that absorb moisture from the air, and certain time-release formulations that are sensitive to storage conditions. For these special medications, I recommend keeping them in their original containers and placing a reminder card or token in your pill organizer instead. For example, my friend Richard keeps his nitroglycerin in its original bottle, but places a small red bead in the compartment of his pill organizer as a reminder to take it. Let me share another personal story. When my mother moved to assisted living last year, the staff initially refused to let her use her pill organizer because of facility regulations requiring medications to remain in pharmacy-labeled containers. This created tremendous anxiety for her, as she'd been successfully managing her medications independently for decades. I worked with the facility to develop a compromise. The staff would fill her organizer each week according to their protocols, but she could maintain her independence by administering from the organizer herself. This arrangement preserved both safety and dignity, something I believe everyone deserves, regardless of age or living situation. This brings me to perhaps the most overlooked aspect of pill organizers. They're not just medical devices, they're tools for maintaining independence. When used correctly, they can dramatically improve quality of life. My saxophone-playing buddy Frank, who's 82 and manages Parkinson's disease, told me something profound last week during band practice. He said, "Bob, since you helped me set up my medication system with that special organizer, I've gotten 2 hours of my day back. 2 hours I used to spend figuring out what pills to take when. Now I can spend that time playing music instead." This emotional benefit, the peace of mind and reclaimed time, is immeasurable. Now, there's another secret that particularly affects those of us on Medicare, one I wish I'd known when counseling patients years ago. Most insurance plans, including Medicare Part B, don't cover pill organizers as durable medical equipment. However, if you have a Medicare Advantage plan or a prescription drug plan with over-the-counter benefits, you can often get pill organizers covered. Even more important, if your doctor documents that a specialized pill organizer is medically necessary for your condition, some Medicare plans will cover more advanced automated dispensing systems that can cost hundreds of dollars. My neighbor Gerald, who has early-stage dementia, qualified for one of these electronic pill dispensers that lock, alarm, and dispense only at appropriate times. His Medicare Advantage plan covered 80% of the cost after his doctor wrote a detailed letter of medical necessity. This isn't commonly known, and it's not in the interest of insurance companies to advertise these benefits. I'm telling you this because these advanced systems can be life-changing for those with cognitive impairments or complex medication regimens. Let's talk about another misconception, the idea that once you start using a pill organizer, you're stuck with that system forever. The truth is that your medication management system should evolve as your needs change. When I first started using an organizer after my heart attack, I used a simple 7-day model. As I added more medications and needed more precise timing, I switched to a more complex AM/PM system. Now, I use a 4 times daily organizer with a companion smartphone app that sends reminders. Don't be afraid to reassess your system every 6 months or whenever your medication regimen changes. There's also a social aspect to pill organizers that we rarely discuss. Many people, especially men in my generation, feel uncomfortable using these devices in public because they perceive them as signs of aging or illness. I understand this concern, but I've reframed it for myself and for others I counsel. I now view my pill organizer as a badge of self-care and responsibility, similar to how my grandfather viewed his pocket watch. It's not a symbol of decline, but rather of wisdom and proactive health management. When my jazz band traveled to Florida for a senior music festival last year, I noticed several of my bandmates hiding their pill organizers or taking medications secretively. During our rehearsal break, I deliberately took out my organizer and took my noon medications. This simple act sparked a conversation where others felt comfortable doing the same. Sometimes, being open about these things gives others permission to prioritize their health without shame. Another critical secret involves travel and time zones. Standard advice is to maintain your home schedule when traveling across time zones, but this doesn't work for all medications. For medications like insulin or certain blood pressure drugs, timing relative to meals or sleep is more important than maintaining exact hour intervals. Before my trip to visit my son in California last month, I created a special travel pill organizer schedule that gradually shifted timing over 2 days to align with the new time zone. This approach, which I learned from a colleague at Massachusetts General, is rarely explained to patients but can prevent dangerous dosing problems during travel. Let's discuss something that pharmacists know but rarely explain thoroughly. Pill organizers require certain physical abilities that decline with age. Opening those small compartments requires decent fine motor skills and hand strength. Reading the tiny day/time labels demands good vision. Remembering to check the organizer requires cognitive sharpness. If you're experiencing challenges in any of these areas, your organizer style should accommodate these changes. For my friend Martha, who has arthritis in her hands, traditional organizers became impossible to open. Rather than abandoning her system entirely, we found an organizer with push-button compartments that she can operate using her palm rather than her fingers. For those with vision impairments, there are talking organizers that announce the day and time when opened. The point is to adapt your tools to your abilities, not struggle with inappropriate equipment. Now, I'd like to address a controversial topic: sharing pill organizers between spouses or household members. I've seen couples using identical organizers stored side by side, distinguished only by a small label or different location. This is extraordinarily dangerous. In my pharmacy career, I documented numerous serious incidents where spouses accidentally took each other's medications. If you and your partner both use organizers, they should be drastically different in appearance and stored in separate locations. When my wife Janet started her arthritis medications, we deliberately chose organizers of different colors, shapes, and styles to prevent any possibility of confusion. Here's a pharmacist trick I use to recommend to patients with complex regimens. Use multiple organizers for different purposes. One organizer for daily regular medications, a separate smaller one for as-needed medications, and perhaps a third for weekly or monthly medications. This separation reduces confusion and creates a clearer mental map of your medication purposes. My mother uses this system. Her daily heart and blood pressure medications go in one organizer with blue lids, while her as-needed pain and sleep medications go in a completely different one with white lids. Another aspect rarely discussed is the relationship between pill organizers and medication adherence tracking. Many patients don't realize that your empty or partially empty pill organizer provides valuable information for your healthcare providers. Before doctor appointments, I recommend taking a photo of your organizer to show your pattern of medication use. This visual evidence can help your doctor identify adherence issues or timing problems that might explain why certain treatments aren't working as expected. When my blood pressure wasn't responding to treatment last year, showing my doctor my perfectly maintained organizer helped him realize we needed to adjust my medication rather than assuming I was forgetting doses. Let me share a story about my former colleague Dr. Thompson, who specialized in geriatric pharmacy. She had a patient named Walter who insisted he was taking all his medications correctly despite worsening symptoms. When Dr. Thompson asked to see his pill organizer during a home visit, she discovered he was taking his medications from the wrong end of the organizer, starting with Saturday instead of Sunday. This simple directional confusion had completely inverted his medication schedule. This taught me the importance of not just providing an organizer, but ensuring patients understand the correct way to use it. I've developed a habit I recommend to everyone using pill organizers: the 5-second check. Before removing any medication from your organizer, take 5 seconds to verbally state the day, date, and time of day. This verbal confirmation engages multiple parts of your brain and serves as a final safeguard against timing errors. I started doing this after my medication mix-up, and this simple habit has caught several potential errors, especially when my routine was disrupted by travel or unusual events. This brings me to another critical point. Pill organizers should be part of a larger medication management system, not the entire system themselves. I use my SAFE-T approach, where the organizer is just one component alongside medication lists, education resources, and technology supports. The organizer is the visible part of the system, but it's the processes around it that truly protect you. Think of it like driving a car. The vehicle is important, but it's the rules of the road and driver education that truly keep you safe. I should also mention something about cost. While basic pill organizers are inexpensive, ranging from $5 to $20, the sophisticated electronic systems can cost $300 or more. What pharmacists don't often discuss is that these costs may be tax-deductible as medical expenses if they're recommended by your healthcare provider. Save your receipts and consult with your tax advisor. Additionally, many pharmaceutical companies offer medication management tools for free as part of their patient support programs. When I was prescribed an expensive blood thinner 3 years ago, the manufacturer provided a specialized pill organizer designed specifically for their medication at no cost. Always ask about these resources. Before I wrap up, let me emphasize something important. The best pill organizer is the one you'll actually use consistently. All the advanced features in the world don't matter if the system feels too complicated or burdensome. I've seen patients abandon perfectly good systems because they were too complex. Start simple and add complexity only as needed. Your medication system should serve you, not become another source of stress in your life. In my decades as a pharmacist and now in my personal journey managing multiple medications, I've learned that organization is more than just a practical consideration. It's emotional peace of mind. The right system gives you confidence that you're doing the right thing for your health. It frees mental energy for the things that truly matter, like spending time with loved ones or pursuing passions like my saxophone playing. I hope these insights about pill organizers have been helpful. Remember, these devices are tools, not magical solutions. They require thoughtful implementation and consistent use to be effective. Next week, I'll be discussing how to talk to your doctor about simplifying your medication regimen, another strategy that works hand in hand with good organization systems. If you found this information valuable, please consider subscribing to this channel and sharing it with others who might benefit. Your health matters, and I believe knowledge is the best prescription I can offer. This is Dr. Bob, helping you take your medications correctly. I'll see you next Wednesday. One final thought. After my medication error 3 years ago, my wife Janet told me something I'll never forget. She said, "Bob, your mistake could have taken you from me, but the system you created afterward has given us more quality time together." That's my wish for all of you, that the information I share helps you not just stay medically safe, but truly live well. Because medications are meant to enhance our lives, not become the center of them. Take care, friends, and I'll see you next time.